good evening, everyone. I got a song for you called Chemtrails in the Sky. Our God has told us true. Lay down around, brave soldier, this battle's not for you. So Ronnie, yes, on every side, I've never paid the one. And Jesus hears our sighing. And their day is gonna come. Hippie, I ain't no more. Chemtrails in the sky.
It'll be a little interesting to see if I can get this just so. I wanted to be in the shop, but I wanted to show you the wood stove going too. It's snowing outside today in April, but it does in New York. You know, you never know what a day will bring, do you? No, you never know what a day will bring. It's easy sometimes to get discouraged. You can feel it creep in. Oh, it's got a nasty feel to it. It does. And if it frustrates you, then it can make you ornery. And if you get ornery, then you can get nasty and rude. And you got the picture. We've all been there one way or another, one time or another. But if you can catch it before it gains too much momentum, and you can set yourself down on purpose and say, listen, how do you feel right now? Lousy. Okay. Did you get up this morning wanting to go through the day lousy? No. This happened, that happened. I was discouraged with this, and then this happened, and then I realized I had lost my countenance. My countenance had fallen. I was no longer happy. In fact, I may have woke up pissed off because I dreamed something that irritated me, or I just got up in a shitty mood. Yeah. You don't suppose that God was hoping you'd get up like that and just live a pissy life all day long, huh? And everybody that you come into contact with from that time on is going to feel this irritated, agitated vibe that you are just you reek of it. You can't help it. Can't mask it. Put all the cologne you want on, you still smell like an asshole. Because that's what you've chosen. Whether you meant to do it or not, you've let it put its arm around you, and now somebody else is guiding you through the day, and they're not doing you nice. And their job is to discourage everybody else that you come into contact with. So now you're an agent employed by a very cruel taskmaster. I know. If you just let yourself think for a minute. Do you realize how many marriages could be saved if the people that live together, that loved each other at one time, could just sit down and realize, look what we're doing. Look what we're saying to each other. Where's that tenderness? Where's that where you used to come up alongside me with a great big hug and just hold on to me and tell me how much you love me and why? And I would do the same thing for you. Where's that gone? Why do we remember this one fight we had 15 years ago? Like a root that sticks out by a tree, and every time we go down the trail, you trip over the same root, and then you get mad. We've tripped over this root 350,000 times, and we can't seem to get past it. It's because there's never been a time where you sat down and talked about that root, where you've identified that root, and when you forgave each other. Because forgiveness will cut that root out by the roots, and you won't trip over it anymore. But if you're stubborn, and if you want to get that last pound of flesh, you're going to rip it right out of the one you're supposed to love, you're going to end up divorced. Or you're going to kill one another in real life. You're already killing the marriage. Because it sucks, doesn't it? But it don't have to if you will forgive. Forgive has two parts. Forget. You can't truly forgive without forgetting. Oh, see what I mean? I did that on purpose. I'm kind of a dick for doing it, so forgive me. It just was an instantaneous thought that I probably should have rebuked, but it jumped out too quick. And it's like a cat that's looking at the door, and he knows that you're going to go to work in a few minutes, and he knows he's got to be in the house all day by himself, and he's kind of sly, just not staring at the door like a dog would do. Dogs are obvious. You know what they want. They want outside. But the cat, no, just looking at it sly from across the way. Pew! Fucker, if you can't get, he's through your legs and out the door, been gone. You'll see him at the end of the day when he's hungry. If he don't get by a car eaten by a dog. Oh, that's better. You wouldn't believe how heavy an iPhone 13 can get if you're holding it that way. I hope I'm in the shot. I have no idea. But what was I going to tell you all this monkey business for? Well. I ended up feeling kind of that way today. It wasn't because of the weather, because I don't mind if it's cold. I got stuff to do today. I got finances to do. I got things that I like doing, like going and getting my Social Security cashed, going and paying bills. I like going and paying bills. I don't mind it a bit. I'm so thrilled that God has given me the money that I have to go pay the bills with. Because bills without money, oh, you know what it's like. It sucks. Oh, it's nasty. That treadmill never stops coming, but you just can't get out of the way. And it piles up and piles up and piles up and piles up until it's an insurmountable, horrible experience, and it blows to death, and you have no idea how to get out of it. Which reminds me of the story I was about to tell you. I know a fellow who was co-owner of an extremely prominent business out west. We got to be friends over the years, as their company sometimes would make YouTube videos on how to do certain things, and it was a help to me. And I would call and I would talk, oh my God, I got a hold of this fella. And I got a hold of his brother sometimes also. But for one reason, this one brother was easier to get along with, because he seemed to, some people you get along with really good, as they're just fun to talk to. You can understand what they're saying, and they're a great big help to you. And other ones, not so much. And we'll get to that too, because I'm starting to learn about the not so much kind in myself. So lo and behold, in the due process of time, problems break out between the two brothers. And the one brother is a little more unscrupulous than the other brother. And sometimes the unscrupulous people know the most powerful judges who, with a little grease on the palm or a little reach around from behind, will do amazing things to persuade the law to go in the direction of the fellow with the fucking fuzzy hands or the big wallet. Oh, of course, they will never admit it because it's illegal. Well, what does that mean? But they're judges. What does that mean? It doesn't mean they're all crooks. It just means that some of them find it easier to go to the golf course in a new Ferrari than they do in an old 65 Volkswagen. Nothing wrong with a 65 Volkswagen unless you want something with no heater. But they get good mileage, but they sound like a pinball machine. In any event, you got my drift. So the one brother gets porked to death. He ends up losing his house, $1 million home. His wife stays with him, but she runs out with a lady that she thought would be more fun to be with than a man. And away she goes. Boop, be-doo. Well, you know what? I said to him, oh my God, how you doing? He goes, Georgie. He goes, what happened to me was wrong. He said, but you know what? I'm a multimillionaire on the inside. It's only a matter of a couple of years and I'll be a multi-million-dollar dude on the outside. You can take the money away from me, but you can't take the money out of me knowing that I am of that worth. So the money just comes. I said, wait a minute. Do I understand this right? That people have a governor like an engine? It only revs so high and it won't go any farther? Now I can't believe it, but you're sharp enough to catch that. That's so. If you have a poverty mentality, you could be given $1 million and in a year be a poverty-stricken person again. Conversely, things can conspire against a good man that he lose everything he's got, but in a matter of 5 years, he's right back to where he was or better. Do the research, look around, and see if I'm telling you the truth. Because number one, I don't have any reason to lie to you. I went through life with a poverty-stricken mentality for way too many years. That was spooky. And I know what it was like to fear every single week. If you missed a day at work, now you were falling behind. If you got sick, oh my God, I got to go to work sick. I can't afford not to go to work. If anything happened to the job, you were absolutely petrified because this treadmill of bills never stops. It's just chugging along at a monthly pace. And oh my God, if I fall behind, I'm fucked. Okay. Once I realized I'm governed by how I think about myself and about my finances, how do I change that? The only way I found to change it, there's two ways. You can, if you're able to surround yourself with wealthy millionaires, and you take them to lunch and you treat them just as good as you could possibly treat them. You don't treat them like they're above you. You don't treat them like they're below you. You treat them shoulder to shoulder. Now, it's going to be a little difficult to find a multimillionaire that's going to treat you shoulder to shoulder, and I don't think it can really be done if God doesn't arrange the meeting. But I've had that opportunity several times in my life. In fact, I had the opportunity to meet Trevor Yaxley, the man who developed bubble wrap in New Zealand, who became a multi-billionaire, and in fact, who led Sherman Saunders, the owner of W.F. Saunders and Sons, to Christ years ago. I told you I've had a very interesting life. Now, have I ever been a millionaire in real life? No. Because I set my governor, Lord, I want to have enough to pay the bills and a little bit more that I can invest and a little bit more that I can save. Well, all right, if that's where you're happy, God don't have a problem with that. You see, a man's integrity will keep him in the elevated position that he reaches only if that position doesn't exceed his integrity. In other words, if you get to a spot in life your integrity isn't up to the task, you're going to fall back. You're going to fail because you can't stay. Integrity will hold you at that level. It's kind of like if you're in water that's very buoyant, full of salt, boop, you're right up at the top. But if you're in a turbulent case where there's undertows, boop, you're down. That was a shitty way of putting it, but maybe somebody will get something out of it. Anyway, I'm going to cut to the chase. This isn't going to be any longer than this. This isn't about those self-help books and what have you. I got to change hands. This is driving. Oh my God, my shoulder. All right, I know. I'm not as strong as I should be or once was. It's not one of those self-help 5 steps to becoming a multimillionaire deal. It's not if you roll the dice, divide 3 pigeons, and put the bones in a certain way, you're going to succeed. No. This is, if you will use biblical principles of investing some of your money, I would suggest 1/10 off the gross. Now, you've got to reach a point before you will do that, because right off the bat, our natural self says, I ain't doing that. I can barely survive on what I'm making now. That's ridiculous. God don't need my money, and these people are going to squander it, and it's never going to go to the place that it's due. I would love to tell you in every case that is not true, but I can't. I know it ain't true, you know it ain't true, and I ain't bullshitting you. It is, they're not all crooks. But if you will plant some seed, God promises in his word, he said, I will be a debtor to nobody. He'll owe you nothing. Not because he's nasty, because he's so incredibly papered. But you will live better off the 90%. Now, I realize the government takes another 30, but let's not worry about that. You're not dealing with the government, you're dealing with God. When I found out I live better on the 90%, by far, I by far exceed every financial dream I have that I'm able to dream of. I exceed it by far on the 90. And I can't wait to get that 10% in off the top. I look forward to it. That ain't bragging. It just happens to work. It works every single month. I'm not afraid of the bills. I have more than enough money to cover the bills every single month. Every single year, I get an accountant to do my taxes so that I don't ever get in question of did I fuck the government. Whether they're fucking me or not is immaterial. It's about my integrity and about it's about my integrity. What kind of a person am I? You're an old fuzzy bastard. You live on a pension and Social Security. This is true. You say you have a house that you've paid for. No, I have a house that God paid for twice. I have a Mini Cooper that I paid one check because if I had come up with $21,000 in cash, the FBI would have come wondering where the fuck the money came from, even though it was obvious where it came from. It was paid for with one bank check. My house was paid for with one bank check. Yeah, but you live in a little metal shed. I don't give a fuck. It's dry in the winter, nice and warm. Do I look like I'm hurting? My back's getting warm though. Yeah. Am I happy? Yes. Am I at war with anybody? No. The devil's under my feet. He's a defeated foe. Not worried about him. You worried about COVID? Not at all. How about the next one coming up? Listen, I got the word of God that will never ever change. It's 100% trustworthy. Its integrity is held at, even against the strongest atheists over the years who were determined they were going to prove by the Bible itself it was a fairy tale book and crock of shit. And you know what happens after a length of time? They come slithering across the floor with their tail between their legs because it's so fucking obvious that it's absolutely God's word that they have to say, fuck it, I believe now. Or they're just so lying bunch of bastards, they go crawl under a rock and lick their wounds. Saved that one. I guess they'd have to be prehensile. Enough. I'm going to go now. I got stuff to do. How many people have beautiful plants growing in their house that are legal? Well, of course, it's legal now in New York State, but so is abortion and marrying some dude. So not everything legal is right. Of course, every herb-bearing seed is for the service of man. We're not getting into this conversation. Bye-bye.